So, Rach, you come back from Afghanistan and you were deployed to assist with the Queensland floods in 2011, and you had covered Cyclone Larry in 2006. How different was it when you covered the floods compared to Cyclone Larry?
Um, well, I don't know whether not a weather person, but I think um Cyclone Larry was quite devastating, but the floods I went to Grantham, and into places like that, um, the devastation, the force that I couldn't imagine the force. So, Grantham was just totaled. The aftermath and how it was left and um the just whole houses blocked off there, you know, just completely gone. Like they were down the street, like the whole house was gone. And, I think there was images on the news of this huge cement tank. And I actually walked up, put my hands on it on the middle of the road. And went, how did water move this? Like, yeah, it was really devastating and just you can't comprehend water. You understand water has a force, and we all watch, disaster things on TV, or we've seen floods and fires or natural disasters. But when you stand somewhere where it's hit, it's you just think to yourself, where would I have went? Where would I go? How fast can you run?
Mm.
Where is the safest place to go? And I think we had this conversation. Like there was a Queenslander, a wooden Queenslander that was raised off the ground, and it was still there, but the house next to it was completely, you know, it was not even there. You couldn't even find it. And there was all these chooks sitting up on the balcony, and I went, "How? Like people died, but that chook lived. Like
Mm.
the chaos of it. People's resilience though blew me away. I went to Condamine, St George. The guys from Fifth Aviation were flying supplies into St George. It was basically an island, and these people are landlocked. They can't get out from the water that's around it. And these people have lost their homes, and we were based on at the airport there, or the airstrip, really. It's not an airport, an airstrip at St. George. And people would turn up to give us, like soldiers and aviators, and we're all there, and they'd bring us ice creams and cakes that they'd made, and sandwiches and stews. And I went, people have lost everything. Like the generosity and the way that the communities have pulled together is something that's mind blowing. I think it's not uniquely Australian. It happens all over the world, but it just um you're there helping people on their worst time, but they have so much resilience and strength to give back to the people helping them. I think even Cyclone Larry, you'd be helping, and it was really humid, as you can imagine, North Queensland. Um, Innisfail, like it was just a mess. There was devastation everywhere, and you'd go past the pub, which isn't operating because it's gone underwater. The water's receded, and the bloke sees soldiers out the front and walks out and tries to give them a can of Coke or a can of lemonade. And where we were based at the showgrounds, like a publican turned up with a slab of not a slab, like a whole bloody container of beer. Not that we ever saw any of it, so I don't know where it went. We were told we could have it when we finished. It's now 2023. I haven't seen a beer yet. So yeah, it disappeared. I'm sure someone enjoyed it, but it wasn't me or the people I was working with. But yeah, the resilience, it's very there's a word for it. Like it just brings you back down to earth,
It,
humanity, how lucky you are.
it's
Quite tough to fly in and fly out though,
oh
when you
yeah.
go into bushfires and the places that have been flooded, like the Queensland floods, you go and you do everything you can, but you ultimately have to leave. And you get back home and you go back to your apartment, and it's all pristine and clean. The fridge is there, it's got food in it, and everything you own is still there. And there's a little bit of a take back. I always felt like it always stuns you a little bit that you have to leave. You can only do what you can do. You don't have enough. Like we had $1 million, you could just pass it out to people, but you can only go in and do as much as you can for people. And I'm sure all the soldiers and everybody that's ever been attached to going into natural disasters in the defence force feels the same. You know, you go in and you give everything you can, you try and help these people. But you do have to leave. And when
Yeah,
you leave, their problems continue.
I know
Um,
exactly what you're saying, Rach, because you and I have
yeah,
spoken, and the recent floods that I was involved in, and
yeah,
exactly the same feeling, and
yeah,
it's a, I know the word you're trying. It's not. It doesn't make you feel proud to be insert like you. It's not proud, but it's you feel warm that you're there, helping
yeah,
people that have
yeah,
lost
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But it's and it's
It's a
yeah,
double-edged sword.
it is because you, like you said, exact. I had the same feeling when I'd leave for a day, like I'd go for a day and then I'd come, then I'd go home. I'd go home, have a shower and wash all the shit off me. And then I'd go
Yeah,
and get my uniform on again and go the next day. As
yeah,
these guys stayed in clothes that that they were in for weeks and
yeah,
they'd lost everything. And it was like, and like, you just sat there and just would go, my heart's breaking for you because I've got nothing to say because like you didn't know what to say because you're helping them pull out all their possessions on the street to rot, and it's just
yeah,
it's really, yeah, natural disasters are, like you say, Rach, you want to give everything, like you want to give everything, but it's you, and I'm going to use an analogy here that I heard a lot of, and you as a veteran would know. You leave a piece of yourself there, like you did in
yeah,
Afghanistan, and
yeah,
and I know in natural disasters too, you leave a piece of yourself there. You have to because
yeah,
you're seeing things that aren't normal. Like you said, you're seeing houses down the middle of a street going, how did that get there? That shouldn't be there. And like, the that people lost their lives, and like you say, where would you run, and just those sort of things that,
yeah.
yeah,
And same with the first responders there, like when I was at like Marysville, Kinglake, when the bushfires were on, then into, Ipswich and Brisbane and Condamine and St George and Grantham and um, you know, just you just look at the police and they've got a tough job, man. They've got to go in and recover the bodies, and they've got to be involved with families. And thank God you don't have to do that because that is a shit job. It
oh
has to be.
yeah.
But you'll meet people there, and you might be there for it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, or you could go in, come out, go back. You meet people as you do. You
Mm,
talk. There's still always a few locals around and people that help you, and like the guys that came down to the airstrip at St George, and the families that brought us food, and you meet them and you have a chat to them, and you always wonder later on, like how they doing, or and I remember that there was a young lad, I remember him clearly, I can't remember his name, but the aviation boys just took him under his wing. Like they couldn't go to school, there was nothing. So he used to come to the airstrip every day, and the boys set up some crates just on the fence line. So because he had this big cowboy hat on, he'd stand there. And so when the Chinooks were about to take off to do another run, the lady would come out. Obviously, he does all these checks, and then he gives a thumbs up to the pilot and the crew that they're ready to take off. Well, he used to always walk out and he'd look over at this little fellow who's probably about 4 or 5, and he'd give him a thumbs up. And like the little boy give him a thumbs up. And then he goes, yep, now we're go. So the little fella thought that was his job. So every day he'd come down to the airfield and he would just stand there on those crates, and he'd wait for the loadies to give him a thumbs up because, that was his role. Like he thought he was one of us, and he'd hang around with us, and the kids used to. So we just gave him the boys gave him little jobs to do, which was, kept their mind off maybe what mum and dad were going through or what the
mm,
rest of the town was. And you always wonder, you leave a bit of, if it comes up, you could be watching the news and they say something about St George or Condamine, and oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's when we went to the police station there and they made us a coffee and we had cake with based ourselves out of the little police station there. And yeah, you often wonder, how
Yeah.
they're going, or you might only know their name is like Lily and Ted, I wonder how Lily and Ted's going. And yeah, you always meet people. And yeah, that I think it's very humbling.
Mm,
And it's that getting home and, you have to leave and you go home, take your uniform off and chuck it in the washing machine and, get yourself a beer and sit down, have something to eat in your nice home or, your apartment or wherever you're living at the time when you're serving and you wonder, fuck, you really think that, fuck, I'm so lucky,
mm,
and then
absolutely,
you just
absolutely.
don't know how lucky you are and you just hope that that experience that you have will give you the resilience for and a lesson for the next time because they're always going to happen again. We know that.
Oh,
We live in Australia, so you're going to go back in and just what you might have learnt from someone you've met there or through someone in the emergency services and or how they do business and you learn something so you're better prepared the next time you go in. But it just there's a little bit of your heart that's left with those people
mm,
and that goes it's not a week, it goes on for
oh,
years
yeah.
and years and court cases and these people have to relive this and they have to bury family members and come back to a home and rebuild their lives again. So I always think about that. So there's always a little bit of, and you're not human if you don't see that.
No, no, and I think it's good to, as bad as is, Rach, that we've all experienced these sort of, terrible things. It's good to bring them back up and remember the good times too. Like the people you meet, like you say, like the people that you've met and along the way, and it's good to, sometimes reflect too and go, yeah, actually, we did make a difference. We did the best we could at the time, and we did all we could do in the circumstances, and that's
Yeah,
that's
and
enough.
absolutely. And that's your job, isn't it? Your job is to go in there and whatever your role is, there, it doesn't matter what your role is there in the military. Um, there is always a part of you that you go, you just, I'll pick the kids up and move them here for you. Or do you want me to hold your dog while you get a meal? The army kitchen set up for the people to come in and get a meal. So look, do you want me to hold the kids or you play with them? Everyone does that. And but I wouldn't change it,
Mm,
because I find that maybe it's people are just suited to a job and you do it and it's part of what you do and you wouldn't change it because I'm not that person who would like to sit there watch it on the news and go, oh well,
mm,
you know, that's part of your job and you know what, you did see it, you did the best you can, you did what you're told to do and you helped and they left a mark on you and you hope that you as a group, not yourself personally, but as a team who you're working with, um, just gave them a little bit of hope, even if it was for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to,
yeah,
just get them enough to get them back on track. And that's your job. So, yeah,
absolutely. And
still very proud of doing that kind of stuff.
oh yeah, and it is. It's like I look back as well and think, yeah, there's a lot of highlights of, what I've done, and although as devastating as the floods were, it's still up
Yeah.
there, and same for you. And so we and then so you finish with the floods, and then you're posted to the Warrant Officer and Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy. What did you enjoy most about this posting, Rach?
Um, I needed a break, so I knew that. So, yeah, I actually, believe it or not, when I went to Kapuka, I thought I'd hate it. Like everyone says, oh, don't go to Kapuka and shit. I actually loved it. I actually really enjoyed it. As I said earlier, I'd learned a lot about myself, and the people I worked with. I worked with some brilliant people there, of all ranks. And obviously I knew my career was coming to an end, you know. Um, I deployed quite a lot. I'd seen a lot of stuff. Your body's got to hold up to everything that you do. I actually enjoyed the instructing part of it. Um, I wanted to be, I tried to be the person that was the least furthest from what people believe you to be. I always believed in saying that, the saying that, you know, um, I'm not here to fail you. I'm here, and it's not there to fail. You're not there to fail people. You're there to teach them, to get them to go forward. And I always found that people in my section, at the time when I was there, were a direct reflection on me. So if I can't get you through, I obviously need to get advice from people that I work with to do better, so they do better. So, and look, let's not over exaggerate how good you are, because some people just are fucking untrainable.
But but
let's
I
let's not lie. There's always some people everywhere that you always remember the worst ones, and you just go, oh God, remember that person. But you know, you just all you want to do is be the the best soldier you can to them, so they can be a better soldier later on. That's what you aim for. I did enjoy it. I wasn't there too long. There were some great people that I knew that I worked with. Townsville was very close to my heart. I spent a lot of time there prior. I started my army career in Townsville. It felt like home to me. Um, yeah. So look, I did enjoy it. And I actually at that stage, and it obviously was coming towards the very end of my career, and I knew it was coming, but I just wanted to give back a little bit. And I think I was ready then, that I knew I wasn't going to deploy anymore. My knees were gone, stuff like that. I had knee problems, and everything was accumulating. So I just thought, I'm happy to do this and let everybody else deploy or do whatever. I'm actually really happy to do this. So I did that for a short time. And obviously, I knew that I quite liked instructing. I quite liked it. Yeah. So I
and
like,
And what strikes me with you, Rach, is when you were talking about, you wanted to forward people, you're fair. Like you were fair, but
yeah,
you do the work, you were hard but fair, and and like you said with you'll remember the shit ones, but that
yeah,
taught you something about, you go, okay, I've got to adapt, to
yeah,
them and get them to where they need to be, and that's what I see is you as being hard but fair. But if you do the work, I'll put everything in to help you and instruct you and get
yeah,
you to where you
yeah.
need to be.
Um, and it is one of those roles where, you know, it's not 9 to 5, and these are people, they're privates or sappers or lance corporals, and at the end of the day, we've all been there, and we all knew what we hated about it. We all knew what we loved about it, and I think you meet those people no matter what corps you are or how you come across them, that you admire, and there's something about them that you like, and you go, oh, he's a really good operator. I'm going to take a little bit of that away with me, and you add that to your cache of knowledge.
Yep.
Um, and that's what you're trying to impart. But you know what? I always believe that when you're instructing, you're actually learning from your students as well. They've
Absolutely.
all got backgrounds, they've all got experiences too. Some of them, just because you're a lance corporal or a private doesn't mean, you've been in the army for 3 weeks. So they've got experiences, and some of them are really good at what they do. It's a, there was blokes that I had that were coming through to do their corporal's course that had been to Afghanistan or Iraq by that stage. You've got figures in front of you who have done warlike operations. Unlike when I went through, sub one for corporal, the only people that had medals were the seniors. You never saw soldiers with medals.
Mm.
So yeah, it had come full circle. So, you're actually standing there instructing people or teaching soldiers to be for their corporal's course that have done real-time operations overseas.
And it's funny, Rach, that now we've seen a reverse again. It's gone back to it's gone back to how when you first joined, where it's now there's not a lot of deployments. There's it's sort
Well,
of
I think they are sending some people to Germany. I would have liked to have gone to Germany and done some shopping and had a look around, in peacetime. I saw that the other day and went, no, I never got to go to get deployed to Germany. I think my mum used to always say to me, like, why don't you get like deployed to Paris or, you know, somewhere like Paris or London or Rome. And I go, well, because there's no conflict there. And she goes, well, maybe they should start one so I can come and visit you. And I don't think that's how it works.
No, it's funny that, and it's always funny that you, well, not funny. Funny is the wrong word, but I mean it's ironic that every war seems to be in the biggest shithole in the world, and
They,
it's never in any glamour
they
place.
do
Like,
it so well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they pick a place, right? So they go, let's pick here on the map. Let's
Because
go here.
it's like below 40 degrees, or let's go here because it's above 50 degrees.
Yeah,
Let's all go there.
yeah.
And I think so too. I think, and I won't quote their names, but a couple of boys when I was at Kapuka always said to me I was too hard on the girls. And I think I was like that there too. Like, I set a high standard. I honestly set a high standard for the girls and the boys. And I went, this is not a game.
No,
You want to wear
this
a
is for real.
uniform, you know, I don't care who you are, what you do, what your religion is. When you wear the green, you do the job. You know,
But I
you,
think it's
you have
something you
to,
said in the podcast, Rach, earlier, where when you first got to Fifth Aviation Regiment and the boys
yeah,
were killed, and when you said, I remember you saying it clearly to me, you went, "Shit, that was when the best of the best were killed," and like you were so hard on the guys coming through because you'd seen it, Rach. You've seen death firsthand. That yeah,
yeah,
we're playing for keeps here, guys. This is not, this isn't a game. This is, this is real, and that's why you have to the old saying, Rach. You got to train like you fight, and that's exactly what you said earlier on, and I'm just absolutely like, yeah, you have to
yeah,
be hard. That's your job.
yeah. So we think it made it a little bit easier because we had that operational experience when I was there.
Mm.
So, you know, there was people there that had suffered loss on operations. And if they weren't obviously infantry or engineers or outside the wire, it's felt by everybody. So every corps that's been there is affected by a loss. But as we know, it happens on the range. It happens on it happens on exercise. It happens in, you know, what you think is the comfort of your home location in Townsville. It happens at high range. It happens at Kaltana. We lost a mate of ours at Kapuka instructing.
Mm.
In a vehicle accident, like a really close mate. We're drinking beers on Saturday night, and the next week he was dead by through a terrible, terrible vehicle accident on at Kapuka. So I always knew that. Like I knew this wasn't a game,
Mm.
and if you think that you're gonna ride this ride and it's going to be a game, I think you mislead yourself because reality is going to slap you in the face. And some people need that slap in the face.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it was a really good experience. There were some really cool people there. I learned a lot. Yeah, and I quite enjoyed it. I wasn't there for too long, but yeah, I quite liked instructing.
And then, so as you say, you weren't there for too long, and then we'll get into the end of your career in a minute. But just before you were medically discharged, you were assigned to work on the ADF theatre project. What was that like for you? Was that enjoyable coming to the end of your career?
It was very interesting. Sydney Theatre Company. Obviously, there's great people on there. Gary Wilson, as we all know, and stuff like that. Obviously, it was a collaboration between the Sydney Theatre Company and the Australian Defence Force to tell their story as a play, which I kind of really didn't understand how that was going to work. But I got involved in it, and I went to Sydney, and the people from the Sydney Theatre Company were just amazing. Like they had I don't have an artistic bone in my body, and the director and the team there, and I think Kate Blanchett and her husband owned Sydney Theatre Company at that time. But just learned a lot, things I didn't, we went into these workshops every morning, like and went, pretend to be a tree, and you got all these soldiers standing around going, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be a tree. But then as you start going through, it's quite freeing. And yeah, it was a really I think for the blokes involved, like I obviously didn't go on and do the play. I was asked to or selected to. I chose not to. Um, I just didn't think I was in the right headspace to go, and that was it, So I was part of the group, and I got selected to tell a story and be part of the play. I chose not to. I actually now, in hindsight, it's easy when you get a bit older and smarter. Do I regret it? No, I think it was the right thing. I think they had the right people there. I just wasn't in a good headspace to do that, because you know, uh, you look at your story is being projected in front of people. I went and watched it, when it came to Canberra, and it was magnificent, and all the guys and girls that were in it, Sarah Webster, they just did an amazing job, and it was very interesting. It's quite freeing, I think, to watch it and watch how they do things, and I met a lot of great people that worked at Sydney Theatre Company, and it was just an eye opener. I know nothing of that, the artistic world or actors or I really enjoyed the set production. I used to walk through there all the time, and I always have an interest in the behind the scenes. I actually like behind the scenes more. But yeah, it was a really, really good experience. I think it was like fabulously received around Australia. It went gangbusters, and a credit to all those involved. Yeah, and it was kind of, yeah, a nice way to finish it. And then I just kind of, yeah, we all obviously as military people, these people are actors, and they're like everyone that's in the civilian world. They can read and they can research, but it really takes a soul to say, well, no, we wouldn't wear our pants blouse like that. This is how we do it. So to make it more authentic, like this is how we don't talk like that. This is, you know, um, when you bag your mates, that's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Where on the outside world, outside that military bubble, probably someone would think it's condescending. Where we just thought it was like that's what mates do, you
Black
know.
humor. Black humor.
Oh, very black humor, but yeah, it was. They educated us, and we did a little bit of educating them. But yeah, they should be really proud of themselves. They did a great job, and it's a pity there's not more of it. I don't know if they still do it or, but yeah, I think it was a really, really good thing. Like I think like Paul said for the beginning of the Invictus Games when they started that, it was quite freeing, and I think, everyone can't be an athlete. Everyone doesn't want to be an athlete.
Mm.
You get out of the military and you might, there's different things for different folks, and now we have point and assist with photography and how people express themselves with art. Like we're the Sydney Theatre Company with the Defence Force, there's another avenue where the people that don't want to inject us into sports find another avenue to release their story or their trauma or their post-traumatic stress. So I think if they all work together and people could find that outlet, it's a really good thing at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like as you say, like the trans like and like transition and that sort of thing, it'd be good if more projects were funded to do like, to help with that
Yeah.
side of things. And it's, like you said, it's a great it was a great project, and hopefully look,
Yeah.
let's hope there's more in the future. And we now, and Rach, I mentioned that you were medically discharged in after 19 years of service in 2014. Did
Yeah.
did the discharge come as a shock for you? Like obviously you and I have spoken off air, but I'll let you tell. Like did it come as a shock?
Um, it was something I never ever thought of in my whole career. I thought I'd die in the army. I had no plan on leaving ever. I was just green through and through. Um, in hindsight, it's very detrimental to yourself. I didn't realize I should have looked for opportunities to do something for when that day come to be prepared for the outside world. I honestly had never in my life, in my military career, gone into a chemist and put in a script and paid for it. Because went to the RAP, doc gave me a script, walked over to a window. There's an officer, pharmacist in there. They gave it to me. I go, thanks very much. I go back to work. I remember the first time I went to a doctor and I said, like, he gave me a script. I said, do I have to go and pay for this? Like, I didn't know.
Mm.
Like, and I'd done all that time in the army and I didn't know. So God help someone that's only been in 5 years and is 25 years old and discharged. Like, if you can be a sergeant and done all that time and really not know how things are going to go or how to set up things outside, I worried, even though it was happening to me, I worried about, the guys and girls that were 21 or got injured, at 20, 21, 25. How do they get through this process? Um, the day, I'll never forget the day that, like, obviously it was coming. So I was med boarded as you go along and, you know, it's not going well. So that, you're going to have to go. You knew it. There was nothing you could do to stay. And I I remember I went up to the RSMA's office. I went up and knocked on his office door. Went over to Russell, knocked on his door. I said, like, surely I can do something. Like, I'll go back to Kapuka, and just train people. I don't want to get out. I'm happy never to deploy again or be in land command. I'll just, surely no one wants to go to Kapuka instructional postings. I'll just go, but yeah, no luck. So I remember the day very clearly. I was in an office, a piece of paper was brought in, they shut the door. And I think the hardest thing I ever did in the army, personally, that I had to make a decision was, I think that it's got the army crest on it at the top and the rising sun and all that gibberish that they put at the top of the letter, and it says, you know, your service number, PM keys, Sergeant Rachel Ingram is no longer fit to serve as an Australian soldier. That was a clincher. That is the worst wording. Like, I even looked at it and went, like, I had tears in my eyes. I honestly had tears in my eyes. I went, really? No longer fit to serve as a soldier in the Australian Army.
That
Like,
hurts me. And I'm
that's
like,
a
Rach, I'm a
that's a
mate of yours. Like that hurts.
yeah, that was a kick in the guts. That was, I still have a copy of it. It's the hardest thing to read. Can't read it. And then I knew the moment I signed it, I was done. And it even said, no reserves, no nothing. I was done. My time was done. And it took me 4 hours. 4 hours to sign that piece of paper. Hardest thing I ever did.
I
Wasn't ready for it. Um,
I can
knew it was
understand,
coming.
Rach.
Yeah, ignored it. Oh yeah, you'll be right. Yeah, but yeah, it took me 4 hours to sign it, and that was it. 4 days later, I was home. Uniforms hung up, collies hung up, all lined, nowhere to go. Was at work on Monday, was home Tuesday morning. That was it, it was over.
That and that's what you've just explained to me there, H, is exactly why there is a problem and that, veterans face if they, if it's like they don't see it coming with a medical discharge and like you lose your purpose, Rach. Like you've
Yeah,
19 years. Like Rach, how do you go from doing a job you absolutely love, as you said, you bled army, you bled green,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
cut it away. See ya, you're gone. Like I can understand why you would be struggling and be going, well, shit, if I'm not Rachel Ingram, the soldier, who the hell am I?
yeah,
Like, that's who I am. Like, that's all
yeah,
I've known. Like,
yeah, definitely.
and
Um, you're right. Sorry, Kate. Off.
no, you're right.
I think that some of the blame lays on yourself. You got to take it yourself. Like, so I was unmarried, no kids, gave up everything, pushed everything aside to do that job, and all of a sudden you are by yourself. You don't have anyone at home, kids yelling at you to get to school to keep you occupied or to go, right now I'm a mum, I can do this. So, there's no one else to blame but yourself for that. Like, I blame myself for that. I just went, no matter what, no matter who, this is what I do and this is what I'm going to do. And I pushed everything personal aside to be a soldier, and that's all I cared about. And when it's gone, and look, don't get me wrong, that first Tuesday, I went, no PT tomorrow. Nice. Might have a whole bottle of wine tonight. That'll Don't even have to get up and go anywhere. That lasts about 4 days or the first week. every day after that week, you lose a little bit more contact, or, you're getting paperwork sent to you and sign this, and, you know, they give you your pay here and a lump sum, and you go, why didn't you just give that, and then they tax the guts out of it, and you go, why didn't you just give that to me over 5 weeks, because I earn it, but they put it all in one lump sum, they give it to you, and then they go, oh, Sergeant Ingram was earning fucking $350,000 a year, so we'll tax $25,000 out of that.
Mm,
Why isn't it set up for soldiers or for airmen and Navy? I don't know how they do it, but give it to you over the next 6 weeks,
mm,
6 weeks salary, so you don't lose your long service money or the money you've accrued. And I always thought that was something that had to be sorted out. And then you get, a certificate sent in and you go, yeah, great, thanks very much for that. Or, half a morning tea and a handshake and, no gold watch. You don't want anything, you're not asking for a parade or anything like that. It just, yeah, it's, and I know things have changed now, which I hope is a lot better for people and they're more connected and more is done for them prior to them leaving. So, the odd transition seminar where you sit there for half a day, being death by PowerPoint, which none of us liked ever. But that doesn't help you manage your money when you get home, or where, you know, can I move, or where do I move to, or do I stay in this location where I was posted, or where do I go? And it takes a little bit, and you lose contact. So everyone's your friend, you keep in contact with them, but then they're off on their work with their family, and you slowly it falls apart.
mm.
So the army is moving forward, and you are left behind. So you don't engage with them as much anymore because they've got work and they've got stuff, and you start catching up with them, and you're not up to date with what's going on. You always keep some friends, mate. There's always friends you keep for life, but it is a very lonely time. And dealing with DBA and Com Super, like you think you've got it, you haven't got it, you've got to get help, and you're not really sure where to turn. So it gets really confusing, and it just can exacerbate any problems that you do have. I actually, I had a chat with the late, um, um, I was like, yeah, with Jim Molan. Had a chat with him. And I sent a letter to him, and he rang me up, and I'd known him, so I'd bumped into him over the years, and like not best friends or anything, but we'd always he chipped me a couple of times. I was at a parade or an Anzac Day, or I think it was Vietnam Veterans Day in Canberra. I was taking some photos, and he just yelled out at me, he goes, "Oh, do you know what you're doing, Ingers?" And I go, "Yeah, I think I've got it, sir. I'm all over it." But I had a chat with him, and I said, what I found that we have a kapuka to join the army. So when you join the army, this is what you do, whether it's 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 13 weeks, whatever it is. You go in there and they teach you to be a soldier. We need a kapuka at the other end.
Mm.
So whether you're administratively discharged, medically discharged, or you choose to discharge, everyone should go through there. Everyone, I think every soldier should go through there. A, a kapuka at the end. In there, you have not just a transition. You go to lectures and have people, from financial planning, people you can talk to and what you're entitled to if you have kids in a family, and how that family is, whether it's a broken family, if you've separated from your partners, and you've got kids, know everything, not just in a day seminar, but go through it. And these are the jobs you can apply for. These are the certificates that, the civilian qualifications that you have achieved in the Defence Force. This is the day we'll go in. Like, I don't care if it takes 5 weeks or 6 weeks, but until you go through there, and I call it disarming yourself, have potential companies come in. They can source people from there. These are your qualifications. This is, whether you're infantry or a signaller or whatever you do, an aviator, whatever you do, a cook, a musician, whatever, you go in there and you've got companies in there that are attached to defence and go, this is what we're looking for. We want people with your tech skills or your IT skills. And I just always thought, we had a big talk about it. He thought it was a great idea. He's a very busy man and obviously become a very sick man. So I left it and we said we'd get onto it and we talk about it at a later stage, but that stage, obviously, the world turns and he's a busy man and then obviously got quite unwell. But he did agree that it was something that
Uh,
he thought would be a fantastic idea.
Rachel, I'm sitting across from you, and I'm just you have put into you've made sense of something that is so evident and so in your face that hello, like you decompress from your trips when you go overseas. Why would you not decompress and, like you said, de-arm yourself going out into
Yeah.
the civilian world? Like that's wow. I like that's just you have just said something that is just that is I have not
Too
heard.
much common sense.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's like that is just an
Why
amazing
haven't we
thing.
built one? Why don't we have one?
Exactly.
Why don't we have one? And it doesn't matter if you have served for 4 years and you've injured yourself, you've been injured in an accident, and it doesn't matter if you go, you know what, the army, I've done 6 years, the army's just not for me. I'd like to look for a brighter future. I have interests in, other fields.
Hmm.
Or I want to go to the mines. We should have all these mining contractors come in there. We should have people, financial planners, have people from the banking sector, everything, the real estate, everything you need to know about what you need to disarm yourself from your trade, your army, what opportunities, what you have to do, what you can't do, and have it put there. And you must go there every day. Take your uniform off, put your jeans and a t-shirt on, go to lectures. Exactly the opposite as you come in. You come in civilians, and that first night you're put in uniform. Or this should be you walk in uniform and you take it off, and then you put your civvies on. I'm not saying that you have to, not get up and have your sheets over your shoulders at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. You've got to be treated like adults. But why can't we do that?
Mm.
And if you choose not, no one gets to not choose not to do it. And there can be different levels. There can be levels, obviously for sergeants, warrant officers, or whatever. There has to be because of their level of experience and their training, or what kind of education they've got. But I think every soldier should have to go through it. And it's all put there in front of you. Now, what you choose to take with you, you do, but it is given to you like you're given a weapons pan. You give them everything they need to know and allow them to step into a world where you've spoken to HR managers. How do you apply for jobs? How do you do a resume these days? What computer skills do I need to know?
Mm.
Set them up for success. I think then, we wouldn't have the suicide rate that we've got.
Yep.
Medical, education, just the basics of life to help these people, where you can get help. This is where you shouldn't have to be on the end of a fucking bottle on a bad night, not knowing how to get up the next day. And then people say, no, why didn't you ring open arms? Why didn't you do this? They should all be there. If this goes wrong for you, this is where you get help. This is what's in place. These are the networks you and I'm talking in a facility. Yeah, you can be an adult and you're still getting paid to be there, and you can have a mess, you can have it all, but you go from uniform, you take it off, you put your civvies on. I don't care if it's 5 weeks, every day, every day.
You are
And
talking
for people that, yeah,
you are
yeah,
talking common sense that,
yeah.
and it's yeah, you
And it employs soldiers as well. You could have soldiers there that are working for companies could come back and say, I was a soldier, I transitioned, now I'm working for this company.
hmm
This is how I found it. You could have lectures of people that have been in your shoes,
and
nurses, doctors, everything.
I think it's you said it where you said that the transition would be so much better and the suicide rate wouldn't be as high
Oh,
because
yeah.
the biggest thing that Rach, every veteran I've ever spoken to says we lose our purpose and we lose our
Hmm.
sense of identity. We
Absolutely.
don't know, and especially Rach, someone like you and I'm not saying your age, but I'm saying the years of service, 19 years. It's just hard to flick that off and just go, oh, that's it, you're done. See ya. Like, and
Who am I?
yeah, who
What
are you?
what do I do?
You're Sergeant Rachel Ingram. That's who
Yeah,
you were. Like that's who you
yeah.
were. Like that's so yeah, yeah, I just and for you, how did you find your purpose again, Rach? How did you find it to after you discharged?
Took a long time. Took a long time. I think yeah. Um, I don't think I found another purpose yet. Um, I just it takes a long time to realize or to it's just to find yourself again.
Mm,
And you know, I was Rachel Ingram before I joined the army. Now I just have to find her again. I have to find her again and not be a number and a rank. And look, we'll always be green. That's never going to go away. And some people can just, throw it away at the pinch of a hat. I don't think most of us will. We're very proud of what we did, and we've done. If the stuff we don't do is unique.
mm.
It's unique. You know, who gets to go to work and get in helicopters and get on ships and get to see the world and meet even just the general posting, you meet people from different corps, different backgrounds, and you just become a family, a brotherhood and sisterhood. And I call it a brotherhood, and that means, like in my time, boys and girls.
Yeah.
you know you share a common bond, you share something that nobody else understands unless you're together, that dark humor and stuff like that. So you just got to find yourself again and just put that in its place.
And I
Be
think
very proud of it and share it. But yeah, it's got to, yeah,
sorry to cut you off, Rach. I think
no, you're right.
there's a point I wanted to touch on. I think it's so unique too, especially in defense and also first responders and nurses and people.
Yeah,
There's that bond. There's the brother and I use brotherhood and sisterhood that that a
yeah,
normal job that you're a co-worker. You're not a the like it's these are life and death situations that you face that you do bond. You get tighter because of the experience and the lived experiences that you have that a normal career like and I'm not taking anything away from a normal career. I won't say we're any better or anything like that because you got to watch your words these days, Rach. You know that. So
yeah, you do.
but you know what I mean. There's it's a different type of it's a different role.
Dedication of service.
Perfectly
So,
said.
so you don't take people. I couldn't be a funeral director. Couldn't do it. Don't know how to do it. Don't think it's a job I could ever do. But I have respect for that. So everybody has a niche, and you do what you do. I think with the police, paramedics, fireys, military, those they are service to others. So it's nothing about you. It's a bonded service. So where if you go to work in an office and you're a, a great accountant, that's your thing. And you do your job and you do the best and you get paid for it. And I'm sure when accountants get together, they have things that are really funny that only they understand because everyone does that. But um, it's not a job of service to others,
Mm. Yeah.
as in life and death, like paramedics, car accidents. I couldn't do it. Car accidents, fires, the worst, the worst day of people's lives. The police are involved with, and people in the emergency services do an amazing job. Like that stuff is it's beyond a role, and I think the military was like that too. It is beyond a job.
Mm.
I don't know. I haven't yet. I haven't yet met anyone that said I joined the army for the money. Because if they did, they're probably still not in. Because they'd be very fucking disappointed.
I love that. I love that. That's gold. No.
It's all right when you get deployed and you make some money, but I used to. Probably should say. There's no amount of money in the bank that's worth a coffin.
No,
There's no amount of money, no amount of money that's worth a coffin. I
no,
always say that, this is a job like it's the service of people. The job of serving is a job where you are prepared, put your life on the line. So someone you serve Australia or serve the people of your country, that's for like an old matey in prison, you know, that's for the druggie on the corner. That's for, the richest person at Potts Point. That's for everybody. You go away and serve your country or you serve your community, whether you're a fire or a policeman, for everybody. And I think that's what people don't understand about it. And, that's true. If you join the army for the money, you're in the wrong business because, yeah, you get paid well. But Jesus Christ, is some of it worth the money? No way in the world is it. There's no amount of money you can put on some jobs.
no,
I don't think. I
no.
don't think. No.
I'd agree
And
with
not
that.
when your life is on the line. They don't pay enough.
No, not at all. Not at all. And so, Rach, with you saying that, knowing what you know now and everything you've been through, what would you tell your 18-year-old self and would she listen?
Oh. If I was telling myself, I probably wouldn't have listened at 18. Um, I don't think, the only thing I would have told myself is to live in the moment probably a little bit more. But that you can only say that with experience and age. So not, don't regret anything I did, but when you look back, you think, I should have just did that, or, just had a bit more balls about you, fucking you were wrong, I was right, I should have just tried that. I did try a few things. I got away with a few, some I didn't, as we all did.
Yes.
I would tell my 18-year-old self that jolly jugs at Tats on Thursday nights and you'd get home by 9 never works. Yeah, it doesn't fucking work. Kept doing it though. I'm never going to drink again on Thursday night at Jolly Jugs in Townsville. That's on Easter, and I kept doing it. And I kept waking up as sick as a dog. I think we used to go home and put our uniform and our PT gear on straight away and just lay in bed and get each other to work. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Miss the banner, miss the fun. Don't miss now. I'm very glad that I'm out. I'm glad that I had the experiences that I had, and I was very lucky. There's not too much. I got to travel the world as a kid from the bush, and I traveled the world. I met amazing people. There's probably not a piece of machinery that they have besides, I think, an Air Force F-111 at the time. I haven't been in. Um, who doesn't want to sit on the tail of a Chinook and fly around Afghanistan, mate? Who gets to do that?
Yeah, you got to do that and got paid to do that, and it was and
And
as you
lived.
yeah, and I say this, Rach, that when you joined, you couldn't have imagined of what you've been able to experience when you first joined, and when you were told, you're going to this corps, and you're like, I don't want to go there. I want to do this. I want to be a soldier. I want to be an infantry. And no, you can't do that. And it's like, well, oh, okay. And then, but as you always said, you just shut up. You did what you had to do, and you ended up getting where you wanted to get to, Rach. And you got to do a pretty amazing job, and be one of the first to do it as well, which is a credit to you, Rach, which is an absolute credit to you.
Yeah, well, you never do anything by yourself, mate. There's always other people out there to back you up, and um, you can only be as good as people standing next to you. I've always said that. No one was ever out there by themselves, whether it's on exercise, in an office, on a task, or overseas. You don't do anything by yourself, and there's a lot of people around you, some good people that that I'll hold very close to my heart for the rest of my life. That they make you look good, and you learn a lot from them, and you think a lot of them. So yeah,
Abs-
very proud of that.
Absolutely. And so what are your plans going forward, Rach? What are you doing? I know you've got a holiday coming up, which you're excited
I
for.
do. I'm heading off to Scotland.
Very
Um,
nice.
with a mate, and yeah, we're going to the Edinburgh military tattoo.
Awesome. I'm jealous.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
yeah, or a bucket list thing that I've always wanted to do. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, bought an old place and renovating it. Got a lot of it done. Buy an old house. They say it'll be fun. They say it's not fucking fun at all. It's a lot of work. There's always something to do. Yeah, but just I'm living on the Sunshine Coast. You know, just uh,
A
just
good
living my best life. I think.
a good
Just
a good spot. I'm going to say, Rach, a good
yeah,
spot.
it's not a bad spot. Not Townsville,
Yep.
Sunshine Coast. If you're ever looking for me, mate, you know where I am.
Yep.
Yeah, and very lucky. There's a good crew. There's a good veterans community around this way, and some of the boys in Brizzy and out here on the Sunshine Coast. So you can always catch up. We catch up on Anzac Day and have a few beers together, which is really sweet. And we stay on the grapevine. Most of us are on the grapevine, and yeah, a few of the other guys and girls that I know have been posted into Brizzy. So, it's always good to catch up when you can. So yeah, just getting older and slower, and doing a little bit of CrossFit. I wouldn't say do CrossFit. I go to a CrossFit gym. I don't say I master any of it too well, but it's good for the brain, and apparently when you get older, it's good for your muscles and your bones. So we might just keep doing it.
And the competitive streak hasn't left you because I remember when you said it where your trainer's like, Rach, you don't push yourself till you pass out. Like you so
Yeah.
yeah, so the
I get in
competitive.
trouble for that. I actually got in trouble for that today.
Oh, did you? Yeah, well
Like,
there you go.
yeah, you know, I, the coach says to me, are you in pain? I'm like, yeah, and she goes, well, you can stop and go. Well, the buzzer hasn't gone off yet, so you just give everything you got. Don't have to be the best. You just don't stop till the buzzer goes. And you know, they're in a world where if you don't feel well, you don't turn up, or
Yeah.
But there's a lot of strong people. They're an amazing group of people there. I love them. I really enjoy it. But yeah, it's changing the mindset probably will take quite some time. Hasn't gone yet. You start something, you got to finish it. And that's entirely on, that's on me. It's
Yep.
institutionalized, I think they call that.
Yes, they do. They do. Well, Rachel, I want to finish with a quote because I really believe your story is one of true resilience and never giving up. And I would like to finish with this quote that I really think sums up you and your story. The soldier above all others prays for peace, for it is the soldier who must suffer and bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. You have seen the true cost of war in your service, Rach. I want to thank you for your service to our country, and I want to thank you for the work that you do for veterans and also first responders. And I really want to thank you for coming on True Blue Conversations and sharing your story, Rach. It's been an absolute honor and a privilege to have you on.
Well, thanks, Adam. Yeah, I don't want to say thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate you listening to me dribble on. And yeah, thank you. It's a real privilege, and I hope the timer beats Coco Quirks because I've got to have a goal. And Coco, you're my man. I'm chasing you down.
Rach, it has. You've beaten him. You've got him. So yes, you've
Oh,
got him.
sweet as
Yes,
he'll be
yeah.
he'll be ringing you next week. Thanks very much, Adam. It's been a real pleasure, and I love listening to your podcast. I love listening to you know the first responders and all the other veterans and guys you get on. I love hearing how everyone else sees what they've done, and I really enjoy it. So thank you very much for the time and the effort you take to keep our stories alive and tell people about what Australians are doing out there.
Yeah, no, Rach, I thank you. As you know, you and I are mates, and it's something that I love doing, and I think it's teaching the future generations, Rach, of what their freedoms come. It's all got there's sacrifices in everything, and the freedoms we have are because of veterans like yourself and others who put their life on and sign the blank check with that they could give their life for their country, and that's what it's about, Rach. It's teaching them to say, the freedom you've got is because of veterans like yourself and others. So, Rach, I'll keep bringing these stories to life because they're important. We need to tell them.
Yeah, great, great. Thank you, mate. It was a real privilege. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Cheers. No worries, Rach. Cheers.